Okay, so good morning. For the record, I'm Chris Young, Chair of the HTC's Sign Advisory Committee. Let's confirm access. Members, please respond with an aye when I call your name. Paul Wolf.
Aye.
Kevin Kuster.
Aye.
Ben Norman. Ben was multitasking.
Aye.
Thanks, Ben. And staff, Esmeralda Martinez.
Present.
Okay, great. And let us know when Mark joins in. So this open meeting of the HTC's SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. That order, posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to convene remotely so long as public access to deliberations is reasonably provided. This meeting is convening via Zoom with video and audio recording and will be available on the town's YouTube channel. We are inviting the public to speak. Materials provided to members for the meeting or provided during the meeting are, unless otherwise noted, available on the town's website. During the meeting, I'll introduce agenda topics and speakers. Please remember to mute your Zoom audio until your name is called. And let's direct comments and questions through the chair to avoid crosstalk and make the taking of minutes easier. Votes will be conducted by roll call. So let's move on. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:02 on July 5th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Paul,
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
I am as well. Okay. Minutes. Esmeralda, you did provide us with minutes for the last meeting.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Okay. I'm sorry. Then we will skip over the approval of minutes. So let's move on to, first of all, Esmeralda, when we're in screen sharing mode, I can't see the gallery view. So do we have a number of guests here that are for applicants or for the open discussion? Just curious.
Yes, we do have a few people here, and Mark just emailed. Bear with me. I think he's trying to log in.
Okay.
I do not see the applicant for 5 Mother Wolf Gallery, unless.
Okay, well, let's follow the agenda. If somebody is on for 5 Old South Wharf, do they want to speak up for a moment? Okay, seeing none, let's just look at the application.
Sure.
Okay, so we're looking at a projecting sign that is made of wood, 20 by 26, 4 square feet. Okay, and so it looks like they're asking for 2. If they're saying front and back, is that what I'm reading correctly?
They were initially asking for a wall sign and a projecting sign, but they decided to just go with the projecting sign.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if where it says location of sign front and back.
This is
Okay.
the only picture they provided.
Okay. Let's take a look at the design then. Okay, and the colors are, is it black and gold or black and yellow when we look back at the application? Gold leaf, okay. Black. All right, Paul, do you want to start the conversation?
Is that for, excuse me, that 4 square feet calculation correct?
26 by 20.
Excuse me. And the other question is on that, Esmeralda, can we go back to the picture of the sign?
To answer your question, yes, it's just
Okay.
under 4 square feet.
That's fine. And you asked the question, is it yellow or gold leaf? Just to make it clear, there's lettering and then there's a logo. I can't quite see it yet. No, I'm assuming it's all gold leaf, no yellow paint.
That's the only thing written on the application.
Okay. All right, then I don't have any problem with it.
Okay, Ben?
I wish I could see the sign again, but I don't know, black just seems sort of like sad down there in the wharf, but I don't think there's any like anything against our guidelines about it, but it just seems a little Halloweenish. I don't know.
Esmeralda, can you put the sign back up for us? Maybe have we lost you, Esmeralda? Oh, okay. Okay, so Ben, besides that comment, are you anything regarding?
Is the background really black? Is that?
That's a good question. Esmeralda, listen to the application. It just says gold leaf, and is that black crossed off, or is that still intact? Looks like it's intact black.
Yeah. That's my only concern. That black background just feels really sort of out of place.
Kevin?
I think it's very appropriate. Actually, black and gold were pretty dominant, especially in town. I know it's on the wharf, but I have no problem with it.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, I was thinking it was yellow, but if it's actually gold leaf, then I have no concerns either.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion for?
Move approval.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, thanks. We'll give it to Mark. Kevin, are you in favor?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Okay, I am as well, so thank you, Esmeralda. What is next up?
The dance festival.
Can you see that?
We're still looking at the last application.
Okay, my computer's having issues. Okay.
Okay, great. So this is the dance festival. Is anybody on the line for the dance festival?
I am Lisa Lothian.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Okay, so you've done this before.
Yeah, so we've actually used these same banners before because they don't have years on them, and they've previously been approved. So there'll be one at the high school and one on the Athenaeum only the week of dance festival. So the week of July 18th through 23rd.
Okay, great. Let's open it up to the board. Kevin?
No concerns.
Okay, Paul?
I haven't seen the banner yet, but I don't think I have any concerns since we've approved it before. Okay.
All right.
Oh, wait a
Ben?
minute, wait a minute.
Oh, so, yes.
Does it still have the website on there?
Oh, yeah.
No?
Lisa, is this the,
Yes, yep, it has the website.
it does have the website, okay. And you've used these banners. Were they approved with the website before?
Yes, in past years, yes.
Our mistake.
Yeah. Typically, we wouldn't allow it on a permanent sign. Ben
No concerns.
and Mark?
No concerns?
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so we have Mark motioning, and we'll give Paul the second. Kevin, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Ben,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Okay, I am as well. So, and let's just take a look. We saw the one at the high school, same banner, same location as before on the Athenaeum, right?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Great, thanks. Kevin,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Mark,
All right.
great.
Is there gonna be
Thank you.
snow on the fence?
Yeah,
Hopefully not this time of year.
Okay.
all right. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, so BPC, 6 North Beach Street. Is BPC the business or the representative?
The representative is Linda and she is not here.
Okay. Let's see the sign. Okay. So this is going in the place of the pre-existing sign. Got it. And 3x2. Do we know if this was the same size as the previous sign? Did she?
She attached pictures of the previous signs.
Okay. 3 foot by 2 foot. It looks. Well, let's open it up to the board for discussion. Ben?
I don't think it needs to say Nantucket on it. And I want confirmation that the size matches the existing one. You know, it's a freestanding sign, so but I think they've maintained it, so I don't think we're taking that away from them at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my two comments.
Okay, Mark? Mark?
I'll agree with Ben's comments.
All right, thanks, Paul.
I do too. I agree.
All right, Kevin?
Make sure it's clear that the word Nantucket is not, can't be on there.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah, I agree with what has been said. I'm having a little difficulty seeing what the lighting is. I think it said existing, but if you could go maybe back to the existing photograph. What kind of lighting is, I can't tell.
I don't see anything
The
there.
next
Maybe
page.
I think it's below.
could be
Yeah, I
ground
think so
lighting.
too.
Oh, yeah,
well,
that white light
that-
underneath.
I think the lighting should be sure to meet the guidelines with as far as wattage, and I really think it's inappropriate that they point up. That kind of flies against our night skies program. So I would hold the lighting until we get clarification. That's my only comment.
All right, so sounds like the comments are that assuming the size matches the previous sign, removing the Nantucket and lighting to be applied for separately, or do we want to just say put the lighting above so it's downlit and not contradicting the dark sky?
Well, I don't think we can tell what that light is like if it's just, it looks like spotlights. I'd almost, I'm kind of leaning towards just hold for revisions, but I don't know what anybody else thinks. I'm just concerned that there's a lot of moving parts still, not so much with the sign, but more with the lighting.
Okay, well, we could hold for revisions or hold for recommendation. But, you know, they can listen to the comments so they could come prepared.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's have you make that as a motion, Ben. So,
I'll
all
make that as a motion.
right, thanks. Somebody want to second it?
Second.
Second.
All right, thanks, Mark. Paul, you're,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and Ben.
All right.
Okay, thank you. And I saw Sean on the screen there, so Sean, you're here for Town Pool?
Correct.
Okay. We have two applications. Why don't you just tell us about each
Sure.
of these?
Love a projectile sign and then one above the store. In previous years, when we were on Main Street, you requested we do it in black and white, so I did it in black and white. Pretty amendable, but that's what we're looking for.
Okay, was there a bracket previously where you're proposing or were signs in both of these locations
When
previously?
Brock Insurance was there, I'm pretty sure there was one there. I don't think, I forgot that the insurance company took over after. They were there briefly. I think they actually had one as well.
Okay.
It's uniform with everybody else on the street to have a projectile and then another sign above. As you can see, looms next door is.
Okay, let me go through the board. Kevin?
Just a couple questions regarding how the edges are finished. I think on Main Street, it would be appropriate to have a frame of some sort of. I think that would help to soften it on that building.
Okay. What kind of frame would you propose? I'm amendable.
Yeah, just something very simple. I don't know.
Rounded edges?
Yeah, just some kind of a, quarter round or something. I don't know. Somebody,
Okay.
Mark, maybe you have a better sense of moldings. I don't.
And Kevin, would you like to see it painted white, or you're just saying put a profile on it?
I think just a profile. I don't think it needs to be white.
Okay. All right. Paul?
My only question is the height of the sign versus the space where it's going to be placed. Is it going to?
Which sign?
Pardon? The one on the wall over the door.
Oh, okay.
In this drawing, it appears as though it's hanging down over the edge of the.
Oh, no, I don't think that would be the case. We'd want it to be secure to the building.
Okay. Sean, have you measured, or are you aware of what the height of that fascia or that section of red is between the top of the window and then the point where it steps out?
I'm glad we're doing this in Zoom. I can do it live.
All right.
Here we go.
I just got to get a tape, which should be in here.
It
All right, while
appears
you're doing
12 to
that-
14 inches, if I had to guess, and they're applying for a 10-inch. I think it should be fine. Just center it in the field.
That's we can go through.
So while you're doing that, Sean, we asked Mark, do you have any other comments?
No, I looked at the Google Street Map to look at Ropes and Gray, previous signage. That bracket was pre-existing. Their sign size has applied for, appears to be consistent with what was there previously. And I agree with some sort of frame that can be the same color as the background of the sign.
Okay. And that, Ben?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said.
Okay.
It's at least, I mean, just looking at it, I could tell it's 18 inches. I don't know
Okay.
if you guys can see that, but I mean, without a tape, I can just tell it's, I mean, from down here, it looks like it's at least 18 inches. It could be more.
All right. So
right,
looking at a
thank you.
10-inch tall sign.
Yep.
All right. So the request has been made to put a frame around both of the signs.
And with that, I just want to do whatever you guys say. I heard the word quarter round. Is that okay to use? And we just paint that black?
I think so. And we're talking about something in relief. So it's sort of like it's projecting off the face of the frame so that it just gives that shadow line effect and some depth to the sign.
Okay. I think Hingham Bank might have something similar to that, right? I guess you can't memorize
Yeah.
every sign, but
Yeah,
Can you go down the street for us? No. Uh,
absolutely can. I can do anything you want.
No, you understand what we're asking for. Just something in relief, so it's not a flat black sign that bleeds off into the, off the edges.
Sure. Yeah, I know you guys always like stuff, so I figured the less I do, the more you can tell me what you'd like.
It was nice of you. Would somebody like to make a motion? And we can do the motion for both of these at the same time.
Yeah, motion to approve both the wall hang sign and the projecting sign with the addition of a quarter round or something similar to for the frame to be painted to match the background color.
Second,
Okay, thank you, Ben. And Kevin,
I,
Mark,
So, aye.
I am Paul.
aye.
All right, I am as well. All
Excellent.
right, thanks,
Thank you.
Sean.
Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay. Why don't we hold off on enforcement and we can move on to the discussion from the HSAB meeting and the discussion of flowers
Are you saying we're just gonna skip enforcement for a minute?
for a minute.
Okay,
I'm
yeah, 'cause I
thinking
have a
that-
couple I want to talk about.
Okay. Esmeralda, how many people do we have on the line right now? Just that I'm assuming are here for the flower discussion.
Just 5 and 6 counting into the current.
Okay. Great. Well, I want to welcome everybody here that's would like to make comments. One thing I just want to try to set some ground rules is that this is really a forum for people to express opinions so that it can be put on record. We're not deliberating so that we can, cast a vote by democratic polling of any kind. And we also want to make sure that we're not directing comments at any person, or it's more generally addressing the subject. So I don't want to get into a debate or crosstalk between anybody that is on the line. I will say in the several decades that I've been on this board, we've never had anything quite as noticeably polarizing, meaning that we've had a lot of public opinion on both sides of this issue. So I did speak with Ray Cole, who is the chairman of the HTC, just to ask procedurally what he thinks our role is and how we should be handling this. He would like us to listen. It has fallen in our laps primarily because our guidelines are written in a way that will allow it to be a discussion that we can entertain, or that we can, our guidelines could be addressing the subject. The question has been made whether flowers are signs. I'm not sure that's really the subject. It's more about, are these installations appropriate, is where I think the HDC will ultimately be dealing with this subject. The question, are these installation signs, is the reason that it's before us. So we've got a fine line to walk here. I just want to say that we're not going to be, like I say, this is not a debate. This is really to let everybody speak so that their thoughts can be put on record. But ultimately, the HDC has asked, or Ray believes that this will end up back up at their board to, take our advice, our recommendations, but they will revisit the subject because it's grown into something that might be beyond our jurisdiction, if you want to call it that. The HDC wants to have some say in this as well. So I'd like to open it up to anybody that would like to speak. And let's start with, is there an order, Esmeralda, as far as who has logged in? I guess we could just say whoever logged in first will go in that order.
Sorry, Brenda logged in first,
Okay,
and then I kind of lost track of who logged in. But Brenda's
Okay.
here and then there's a few other people.
So Brenda,
Yes, sir.
feel free to speak.
So I just wanted to clarify the thought that I had spoken about before with the flowers. I think that, again, we spend so much time trying to create Nantucket to be the place that people want to come and visit. The authenticity of the structures, HGC sign committee, that, and listening to you all talk about signs, and whether we decide or you decide that flowers or signs are not, to me, is irrelevant. It's more about the fact that there doesn't seem to be control and they're up forever. And they get pretty dirty looking and they're just not historical. So that's my point. And it's the longevity. The signs are up for a certain period of time when you have the dance festival, when you have all the holidays, but these things go on forever. So that's my point. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brenda. Not knowing what order I'll just say, Rachel, if you're prepared to speak. Would you like to say your speak?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just here to represent Lemon Press because we seem to be the cover photo for the issue. And again, these are just my opinion and not facts. And I just wanted to say that, we're a small business. We have no investors. We're family owned and operated. And yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I've spoken with many people as they're walking by. A lot of joy and has helped our business a lot. So I just wanted to say that I don't think that they're signs, and we're planning on changing it with the season and having it be more green and then taking it down. But it's helped our business a lot, and I've heard nothing but positive things. So that's all I want to say.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Hafsa, do you want to speak now, or would you like to hold off?
I can wait till everybody's done.
All right,
I've said a lot on the topic.
I know you probably have some things to say. Barbara. Are you here, Barbara, to speak to the subject?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm listening for now, but I might anything later. But I'm
Okay.
definitely support of flowers.
All right. Esmeralda, my gallery view only lets me see those people I've mentioned. Who else is on the line besides John Carl and Hafsa? Oh, Jackie, I'm sorry. Jackie, I see you.
I don't know how to get off of your board. Sorry, I'm reading the pictures with all your board. I just think Nantucket has so much natural beauty, and that the plastic flowers compete with that. There's so many pretty window boxes in town. And with the aesthetic of the gray shingles, that the natural flowers, and then I agree with Brenda. I find the flowers to be dusty, sometimes dirty and faded. And I just don't think they enhance. And then to me, there are art installations. And then what if every store owner put a sculpture on the street outside? I mean, I just don't agree.
Thanks, Jackie.
How do I get out of your board pictures?
Oh, I think you're stuck there.
Oh.
You could take off your video if you want to.
I don't know.
Touch there's a little camera icon. Let's see. So, Esmeralda, as I was saying, I see Barbara and Hafsa. Is anybody else on that has not
I
spoken?
have Abby Fox.
Okay, Abby.
Or Kimberly Thomas.
Let's see. Abby first. Do you want to speak?
Oh, hello. So,
hello.
Hi, this is Abby. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute. So I have the store down on Straight Wharf, Abigail Fox Designs, And we have beautiful blue hydrangea, blue and white hydrangeas that HAFSA did for us. And I pretty much just want to mirror what Rachel said from Lemon Press. The outpouring of support we have gotten from the flowers has been amazing. People, take selfies and pictures all day long. We've heard only good things. And I just want to say how helpful it has been for my business. And as far as HAFSA, who put them up, she's amazing. She's on the wharf every couple of days, adjusting the flowers, taking anything down that possibly looks faded. So as far as that, I really don't think you have to worry. And it's also a temporary installation that we plan on taking down and changing, and just making sure that it always looks as nice as it did when it went up, basically. So I'm really just calling in for support, and want to let you guys know how much it has helped my business. And I hope that they can stay.
All right, thank you. Before we get back to you, Brenda, let me ask Kimberly. Oh, I can't talk just here to support flowers. Okay, so Kimberly has voted or expressed her support. Brenda, you had your hand up.
I do. I just want to clarify that this is not about HAFSA. This is about floral installations, and she's not the only show in town. And so that's the point that I would like to make.
Absolutely. And that's why I was trying to say that at the outset, that this is not directed at any one person and or business for that matter, referring to Lemon Press. But, it's really, we're talking about sort of the subject overall and the appropriateness of faux material on the outside of buildings, whether it's flowers or perhaps other materials. But is that everybody? Oh, HAFSA, you have not spoken. Do you want to say anything?
Sure. Well, I guess I'll just reiterate. I mean, I think that the overwhelming response on my end, and correct me if I'm wrong, has been in favor of floral installations on the outside of our businesses. And while I completely respect that that's not everybody's opinion, as I've continued to listen and research the opinions of this board and others in the community, I'm inclined to believe that this is actually a lot more specific to legal matters, in the sense that how can we regard flowers as a sign? And I know, Chris, that you started this discussion by saying that's not what we're here to talk about, but the conversation has morphed into what started out as the concern of faux flowers on the outside of buildings has then built into these, very subjective opinions about how they don't belong, or, they're not Nantucket, and, they don't look good. And some of them have been up for, long periods of time. So there have been a lot of issues that have come up, but specifically as it relates to the SAC, determining whether these should be allowed, I think that's where I just continue to come back to, if we regulate or restrict or limit these, then we should be absolutely limiting, regulating, and restricting fresh flowers, and regarding those as signs as well that die or fade, or succulents that become browned on the side of our beautiful buildings. It's very complex and incredibly layered when we start to look at, this specific topic, and just completely disregard, the other things that we're doing here predominantly throughout the year. The issue of temporary came up a lot in the last meeting. My phone died at the end, so I wasn't there for the very, very end part, but I heard that a lot. And there were several members of that board that, I'm sorry, I think it was the historical, I've attended so many meetings on this, I can't remember what board it was, but the Historic
Structures Board.
Thank you, Historical Structures Board. There were some comments about what temporary even means. Well, is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Trying to assign a value to the word temporary, when the true definition of temporary is a period of time. So it's just, it's kind of like, I know that this board wanted to continue conversations and continue to get the public opinion. And I think that we've achieved that. I think I would like to try to focus towards a solution, as Mark said, likely one that neither of us will be happy with, but just in the middle of an incredibly busy season to keep carving out this much time for something that is just so simply like, I guess it's not simple, but flowers. I would love to try to get some clarity on an end in sight for this.
Okay, well, thanks. I think we're all in that mindset. I'm going to go across the board, just let them speak. And one thing we skipped over, which maybe I should have led with, is Kevin and Ben, and I think Mark were at the HSAB meeting. Is that correct? Or was it Mark and Kevin? Right. Yeah, so
Chris,
yes, Kevin.
Just to interrupt quickly, I think it might be proper to close the public hearing portion of this. I think we've had plenty of meetings and sessions. We've been to 2 other boards. So I'd like to request that we close the public hearing portion of this and then proceed with our discussions. Or if you need a vote to do that, I'm not sure.
No, I don't know if we need a vote. I guess are you saying go into executive session or just close the public hearing session?
Just close the public hearing.
Okay, so I think that's fair enough. I mean, as long as everybody, I want to make sure that we're not cutting anybody off. I think Hafsa, you've said your major point. Is there anybody that has a point they'd like to make? I see Bob Little has joined us, perhaps from the Builders Association.
I have a quick question, Chris.
Yes.
Just my only concern is that are we, as the public, allowed to then listen later to what's being discussed? Because obviously this is relevant to a lot of people that have attended.
Absolutely. No, we're not closing the meeting to the public. It's just closing the public discussion portion.
Okay, sorry.
Just so that we don't get into a crosstalk. I'm gonna have the board members speak, and I just don't want to have it be a, because again, we're not really, this isn't a popular vote that's going to be taking place here.
Right.
Town meeting is the place for that to happen, but we're listening to everybody's opinions, and then we'll have our discussion. So before we close it, Kevin, let me just make sure that we have asked or offered everybody that wants to speak that opportunity. Bob, are you on the line to say anything? Okay, anybody else on the line to say anything? Esmeralda, can you see any hands in the air?
Hello, Chris.
Yeah, hey, Bob.
Hi. Thank you. I'm simply here to be a good listener and just to take it in, and then I'll relay it to our NBA board.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Yep.
So for the record, Bob's part of the Builders Association board. Okay, so Kevin, go ahead and make a motion to close the public hearing portion of the discussion. We have a second.
Second.
Thanks, Paul. Ben, are you in favor? And Mark?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys. So back over to Kevin. You and Mark attended the HSAB meeting, and would you like to just discuss what was said at that meeting?
I think the minutes were circulated per Esmeralda last week.
Right.
So I think the minutes are fairly reflective of the meeting. I think in summary, the general consensus was that they were not terribly enthusiastic about these installations. However, maybe there is some opportunity for a temporary installation, an application process for a fixed time period. I believe that they were leaning more on the shorter period of time, being a couple of weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. Not, I think they made it clear it would not be a 6-month type window. But again, it was kind of an informal discussion, but they did, I think, collectively weigh in on their opinion and concerns. Kevin, please add if I've left anything out, of course.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it, Mark.
All right, thanks, guys. And so any other thoughts as we kind of, I'm curious to hear what the board's thinking after our couple weeks here of public hearings. So Kevin, do you want to say anything else?
Sure. I think that we've had a pretty wide discussion on this. It's interesting how there's so many different perspectives. I feel like our guidelines are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They are guidelines, they're not laws. And they're in place to act upon, to act upon applications from the public. In this case, we don't have an application to discuss. Excuse me. We don't have an application in front of us, and it ends up being with a lot of speculation about how things might be. My suggestion would be that we use the process, and it would work like this. We would decide if we want to move forward with this whole category, not just Hofstas installations, but wherever we have them recorded. This started up as an enforcement question, and I think it should go back to enforcement. At that point, we will have noticed the various landlords who are ultimately responsible for their buildings. At that point, they'll receive a notice that there may be a concern. As you know, I'm just kind of going through this so that those listening can get a sense of our process. After that application is complete, I would see this being applied for its time frame, its materials, just like we receive a lot of applications for things that we end up sometimes approving and sometimes not. Once we have those applications from those various businesses or landlords, then we have something that we can really comment on, and we can approve that application or not. If it's not approved, which is, I guess would depend upon some of the some of the comments in the application. If it's a couple of weeks, it probably isn't going to be a huge deal. But I think having the application again gives us a place to start. If that application is denied, the applicant can take that to the HDC board. They can have a discussion there. That is the board that ultimately will take our input from our guidelines. They're just guidelines. If that doesn't pass the HDC, that applicant can take it out of the Board of Selectmen. So I feel like we have a process in place. We've heard public comment. We need to act on an application. And my recommendation would be that we move with enforcement so we can get some conclusion on this issue. At the earliest, when should the notices go out and applications come back, we're probably looking at 2 to 4 weeks minimum anyway. And that puts us towards the end of the season. So I think it's important to act on it sooner rather than later. That's all.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Paul?
I think Kevin's comments are good. I don't think we can resolve this prior to the end of the season, to be honest with you. I would like to see us modify our guidelines to include things like decorations. Consider faux flowers decorations, lighting strips decorations, and other things that I couldn't think of when I made my notes. And the guidelines should address being complementary to the buildings and the architecture. If it's flowers, they should be real, appear to be real in terms of size, planter, colors in the season. We shouldn't have daffodils out in July. Lights must meet the town guidelines for lighting. So that's my general thought. We might consider having a subcommittee of someone from the SAC, the HSAB, and the HDC board to craft a policy that we would perhaps fold into our guidelines. as I said, it's not going to happen quickly. But I think I think it needs to be addressed in our guidelines.
Okay, Ben?
Yeah, I agree with Paul and Kevin. I think Kevin described our process really well. And that, you know, I walked around town probably last week or a week ago or a week and a half ago. And I probably saw maybe 5 or 6 of these installations. I don't, you know, they're not everywhere, but an interesting thing that all the business owners mentioned to us this morning was how the installations increased their business. And that, you know, our definition of a sign describes things that are, you know, installed to, you know, increase business visibility. And it seemed like that was exactly described when they described these installations. So, you know, I'm in the camp that these are signs. And I think, you know, like Kevin described, we have a process for signs. And I think seeing these applications is appropriate. We haven't seen any applications yet. So unfortunately, the ones that are up are in violation. This is my reading of our situation, at least. So I'd love to see applications and review them. I think that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Ben. Mark?
Yeah, Ben, I had that same observation. It's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if actually we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves and whether actually the next logical step, I think we all maybe discussed generally how it's going to be managed, but I'm wondering logistically or sequentially, should we be punting this now back to HDC? I think the board had a general discussion about procedure in terms of how the discussion will evolve. I don't know that I heard that much opinion from the members in terms of their thoughts on this. And they may be all on the same page, I don't know, or whether they find it's within HDC's jurisdiction in general. It seems to be some varying opinion within the board. And I think if they determine it is something that they want to regulate, we may need town council to weigh in on the existing language and then to make suggestions on how to tighten up the language if indeed this is something that is going to be regulated and will need to be applied for in the future. So I would be cautious to start requesting applications for our installations we already have and going forward. I think there needs to be another discussion at the board level and have them make a determination ultimately based on our input as we were charged to do. And then we certainly have enough public opinion, I guess, at this point as well to share. And then my recommendation would be to have town council take a look at the existing language and make recommendations to whether it needs to be adjusted if this is something we're going to move forward with. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. And to sort of revisit what I said at the beginning, where Ray said the same. He felt like that we would be, our role here really ought to be as the advisory board to give our recommendation back up to the board, having heard the public comment. I realize, Kevin, where you're heading is let's just go straight over to the enforcement side. But I think it really is important to have solid footing here as far as what the policy is addressing, because there is the question if flowers are signs or are faux flowers signs, as you know, HAFSA made that point, what attracts, if we're saying that's because it attracts business attention to a business and natural flowers does that sort of undermine you know, the discussion of faux flowers being worthy of enforcement. So I think Mark's point is a good one. We have good opinions here that we can go back to the HDC with. We have a lot of public opinion, and the people that spoke in our last few meetings, including today, as well as the emails we've received. So I think, Esmeralda, we ought to schedule a meeting, maybe a special meeting with the HDC, or at least a time where it's not going to be rushed through on their agenda, and as many of us as possible can attend. And we can invite, yes, Kevin.
Just a point of information, I reached out to town manager after the HSAB meeting asking for an opinion on our
Okay.
language, and I have not received any information. I don't know what that means. I suspect that if we want to get further opinion from town council, that there probably should be a request that goes through Plus. I think, given with your comment, Chris, about having a joint meeting with the HDC, I feel like, with all due respect, they have such an enormous agenda. And I feel like we should bring them something more solid than just to continue the discussion. If that's like what Mark is suggesting, let's get that. Or if we need to do some tightening, fine. If what's there is good, fine. That way we have something solid to take to them. I feel like this just puts undue pressure on that board when it's something that really falls in our camp.
That's a good point. I think that if we were to draft our opinions, it sounds like we have a few similar opinions, but different opinions, or the nuances might be a little different from each board member here. Why don't we, each of us, write sort of a summary of what we would like to see, just so that we can put together a document that we can send up to the board, because I'm not sure. Or Kevin, would you like to draft it and we can all edit it? Would that be a way to do it?
I certainly could, but I think what I would like to do, and I'm happy to make this as a motion if that's what's necessary, but I'd like to request from, through HDC management, which I'm assuming is Plus, to, get us an opinion from town council if this matter is currently covered, if there needs to be some changes to address it, what they would recommend, and ask for that in a timely manner. I guess that would be a motion I'd like to make to kick this thing off, to give us further information.
All right. That's absolutely reasonable. I think town council needs to weigh in at some point, so we might as well start that ball rolling. So why don't we make a motion then to request that the Plus, or if you need Esmeralda to get the HDC's approval for that request, do it at tonight's meeting, please.
Okay.
So we'll have, Kevin, you're making a motion to request town council's input.
Yes, please.
All right, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Thanks, Paul. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
Okay.
Then
Great.
I think
So-
somewhat based on that information, I can draft up something for all of us to look at, but I think this will give us some, at least let us know if our language is adequate. And again, they're just guidelines. These are not laws we're writing. They can all be appealed, and that's up.
All right, well, thank you. I think that's sage advice. And when I was suggesting that you draft something, just so that we're not going to end up in an endless loop, or I think we have you draft, ultimately we'll hear the response, ask you to draft something. We'll all sort of put our edits together, come up with a document we feel expresses, is the opinions that we want the HDC to hear in a concise document, and then we'll let them. Ray really did want us to act as the advisory board, so that we don't run too far with this before getting the full board's review and blessing. Mark?
Just a last thought. I think we want to be mindful of and careful of that. We're not asking for more than we really want, because as we know, right around that week of Thanksgiving, almost every shop owner is installing mostly faux decor on their storefronts for that period of about 6 weeks through maybe New Year's. And if we put something in place, I think I think, unless there's some exemptions for such. We're gonna end up, we'll have either a bunch of violations or we're gonna have an onslaught of applications that come in because somebody wants to put a big wreath on their front door. So we got to think about the nuances of that and the reality. And then, I use Christmas as an example, but a Daffy's another one. Probably even July 4th this past weekend, some installations as well. So it's got to give it some thought. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so we made that motion. Esmeralda, if you'd ask the board tonight or check with Leslie what the process is. That's sort of where our head is at. We want to.
Will do.
Council, thank you. All right, so we skipped over enforcement to get to this subject. Let's go back to enforcement. Ben.
Okay, so I had two. One, Brant Point Marine, whatever it's called now, is it? I forget the boat company. But they got plastic signs all over the place. The place is looking like a big carnival down there.
Is this down next to the town pier?
Yeah. Rick Kodalak's old building, or it might be still his building, but yeah, there's signs saying boat rentals. It's all plastic stuff. It looks horrible. I haven't been able to get a good picture of it, but definitely let's draft up that enforcement letter because it looks horrible. And then yesterday I was out in Mattakit, and Millie's is trying to control the mayhem out there with all these no parking signs and scooters here. And I mean, I know what they're trying to do the right thing as far as controlling what happens out there, but the signage is sort of also out of control. It's tough though, because I know why they're doing it. I mean, it's logical, but might be worth taking a look out there because it's sort of getting out of control.
If I may interject, I actually
Thanks.
just got pictures this morning from Millie's. I don't know if those are the same size we're talking about. It says Uber, Lyft, drop off, taxi, and then no parking either side. Those sandwich board frames, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, I think we need to enforce it. I know why they're doing it.
Yeah, and a good example might be what Lola Burger was doing. They had to ultimately go to sort of a valet system, having actual manpower on the street to control their traffic situation. And so for Mattakit Millie's, that might be, the direction they need to head. If they have too many customers, then, hopefully they can afford to institute a system of parking control that doesn't involve plastic signs. Okay.
Well, there's some chatter of them opening in 2 more locations. So getting this under control might make sense. One of which would be Lola Burger, actually.
Oh, okay. Got it. Well, there you go. Paul, you had sent in, I think that Tidal Creek boat rental was one of the ones that you sent, Paul.
It was the same thing Ben was talking about. I sent a picture in of their A-frame board out on the street advertising rentals or something like that. I stood back, I parked across the street, I looked at the building, and you're right, it looks like a circus, Ben. But a lot of what he's got hanging up there are products. The big thing over the door blew my mind, and I looked at it and it's an inflatable tube. So it's a question, but the one on the street, the A-frame is what was the other one, Esmeralda? Oh, I sent a picture of an annual picture of the lighting in the alley next to Or the Whale. And I think that falls under the same category as faux flowers. I call it a decoration. But if we have the grounds on citing them for that, we should do that.
Yeah, I think that's covered in the lighting for sure.
Okay.
Esmeralda, have you had any luck with other enforcement items?
I sent out the notification to Stoke a few weeks ago. I haven't heard back. I was actually in town yesterday and they still have their surfboard / menu up. At this point, I don't know if I should just send like a violation with a fee or to.
Yeah, if
wait.
it's been 2 weeks, that's the next step.
I also sent one to Eilish Brim. I noticed some flags were gone. But I don't know if that was just a fluke that I just happened to drive by or if they're really gone again. Whom else? I sent out so many last week. I have them all on my list. But I will follow up with them this week again.
Yeah, Esmeralda, maybe you could just send us what your list is so we know what you've got.
Okay, what I'll start doing is when I send out violations, I'll send you a list so you can kind of keep an eye out.
Right.
Okay.
That will help
Yeah.
me out tremendously.
I gave Esmeralda about 74 violations in the last week.
There's a lot, and unfortunately,
You're a
it's just
lot.
me. It's just me doing all this, and also doing HDC other stuff. So I've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
What I try to do is I take a picture, but also note the property address.
And that is
Yeah.
awesome. That helps me a lot.
Yeah.
We are having another land use coming in next week to start helping me, and he'll be doing other stuff. So that should alleviate some of my stuff, so I can have more time and do inspections and enforcements.
Good.
Thank you.
Great.
I just have a couple things. I owe you some pictures from Center Street you may already have, but Center Street has gotten a lot of activity in addition to the flower
I
arrangement.
got a lot of pictures last week as
A lot of
well
stuff.
with the bikes. So
Yeah.
that's on my to-do list to address.
One other question I have, I didn't see them come back on today's agenda, and that was for Nantucket. But I did see a press release photo that had the sign up, and I understand it's
So
to
they got
open
a
up the business.
violation letter sent last week because they have an awning, the barrel, and the sign that was all up. And I went down there and took more pictures. And I did talk to the gentleman. I said, you're on this is a violation you'll be hearing
Yeah.
from the HDC/sign council.
Well, what I wanted to add a comment to, and thanks for doing that, is I don't know what they're called exactly, but they're, as I understand it, they're rather, traditional, and there are these kind of paper hangings from the ceiling. And I think this is a case where this is another device used to attract attention that I believe falls under our definition of a sign. It's if you haven't seen them, maybe I can try to get a better picture. But yes, it's fun, it's entertaining, but it's an example of how this could really grow out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I didn't know if I saw that too, and it's over town property, so clearly there's an issue there. But I didn't know if that was their kind of grand opening, big, blowout party thing. I haven't gone by there today, but I'm glad that it's on the violation list because I think a short-term amount of celebration for a new business is okay, but if it's always going to be like that, then we have an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw those. They were up last night or at some in the afternoon yesterday. I believe they even say Nantucket on them.
They do, yeah.
So that would be a sign for sure. But the other thing I noticed is that in front of the beat, they were putting up a plastic picket fence on the sidewalk to, I think, create their sort of dining area. So I'm just curious, this isn't in our guidelines, but I'm just curious about these sidewalk dining experiences, sort of how long that is going to last or how they grow. And is there any control given that the HDC is so worried about so many things? Are we letting plastic picket fences show up on Main Street?
And I think they're all applied for, is my understanding. And I
Are
know
they?
that Nantucket Taco, whatever it is, Nantucket, did apply for that sidewalk seating, and I believe got it. What I'm finding is that I think Don Julio made a pass around Nantucket, and all the umbrellas went up with their logo exposed on the umbrellas. I saw that at the Rose and Crown. And it's down on Strait Wharf now as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of umbrella logos that are at every establishment, it seems.
Yeah.
So,
That's something that we could send a note to, Amy Baxter at licensing, because she's on top of all those applications, and that could easily be a one swoop.
Yeah, I think it falls under liquor advertising or something like, there is some language that she has that can manage that, from my understanding. All right.
all right. Well, Esmeralda, thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other comments from the board? Any motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Paul, are you in favor?
Aye.
Ben? Kevin?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thank
Esmeralda.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Thanks,
everyone.
Esmeralda.